And in this segment, we're going to be learning about non-living things. So here are two of my favorite non-living things. These are rocks. And we know that rocks are non-living because they do not have basic needs. So they do not need food. They do not need water. They also do not grow, and they cannot reproduce. So they can't make offspring or have little baby rocks. So these things are non-living. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we'll look at a quick presentation to learn all about non-living things. So let me share our screen. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll be able to answer these two questions. The first is name two non-living things in an ecosystem. The second is the sun living? Why or why not? So let's look at some characteristics of non-living things. Non-living things are not alive. Now, you learned about living things with Mr. Monroe, and you learned that living things have needs that help them to survive. Non-living things do not have basic needs because they're not alive. So non-living things, they don't need food or water. They do not breathe. They do not reproduce or have offspring, and they do not grow. So look at some of the non-living things that we have here on these slides. These are all non-living or not alive. Now I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys a little video, and y'all are going to learn a little song to learn the difference between living and non-living. Now I am not a singer, but feel free to sing along as we learn the difference between living and non-living. So let me get us out of this presentation, and I will pull up our video. It is living, it is living, I know why, I know why. It breathes, grows and needs food, it's alive, it's alive. It is non-living, it is non-living, I know why, I know why. It doesn't breathe, grow or need food. It's not alive, it's not alive. It is living, it is living. I know why, I know why. It breathes, grows and needs food. It's alive, it's alive. It is non-living, it is non-living. I know why, I know why. It doesn't breathe, grow or need food. It's not alive, it's not alive. Living things breathe, living things grow. Living things reproduce, don't you know? If none of that happens, it's just a thing. It's not alive. It's non-living. Hello, we're going to be playing a little game. You guys are going to decide if the pictures that I show you are living or non-living. Now, instead of shouting out the answers, you guys are going to use your hands to let your teachers know what you think. So if you think it is a living thing, you're going to make an L with your fingers like this. So go ahead and practice that. Show me an L for living. If you think the thing that I'm showing you guys is non-living, you're going to take your thumb and put it in between the two fingers just like this. So this means an N, and that stands for non-living, okay? So if I show you something and it's living, you're going to do an L. If I show you something and it's non-living, you're going to show me an N, just like this. So L for living, N for non-living. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and play our game, and we'll see how many of you guys get correct. So here's our game. It's the living or non-living game. So I hope you guys are ready. So here's our first thing, and it is rocks. So do you think rocks are living or non-living? Go ahead and show your teacher with your hand. And hopefully you guys said that rocks are non-living. So you guys should have a fist. By the way, this is actually American Sign Language for the letter N. So N stands for non-living. What about fish? What do you guys think fish are? Are fish living or non-living? So go ahead and show your teacher with your hand. What do you think they are? And hopefully you guys said fish are living things. So you guys should have a nice big L. Fish are living things, so they are alive, just like us. So the next one is water. So do you think water is living or non-living? Go ahead and show your teacher with your hand. And hopefully you guys said that water is non-living. So you guys should have a fist up. Now remember we said rocks were non-living. Now rocks, even though they're not alive, they're super important. Rocks can provide shelter for animals. And what do you think is hiding underneath this rock? So make a guess really quick. What might be hiding underneath this rock? I'm gonna lift it up and it's a frog. And that frog is a living thing. So rocks, which are non-living, can provide shelter for living things like our frog and other animals. So even though something's not alive, it is still very important to the living things in an environment. What about a cat? Do you think cats are living or non-living? He is our work cat that lives at our school. And hopefully you guys said that cats are, show me with your hand, cats are living things. Okay, next one up is clouds. Go ahead and show your teacher with your hands. And hopefully you guys said that clouds are non-living things. So clouds are non-living. Now, even though they're not alive, we still need them because they actually help to give us the rain. What about the wind? We can't see the wind with our eyes, but I know it's a windy day because you might see a windmill. The windmill is the object that is turning around and around. So do you think the wind is a living thing or non-living thing? So go ahead and show your teachers with your hand. And even if you don't have a windmill at school or home, you know it's windy because you can look at the trees. If the trees are moving, that means there's wind. And hopefully you guys said the wind is non-living. So you should have your hand in a fist. So the wind is not alive. It can move things, but it's not a living thing. So wind is non-living. Well, here's another fun one. The sun. We see the sun almost every day. It's so pretty and bright. Do you guys think the sun is living or non-living? So go ahead and show your teacher with your hands. And we know that the sun is a non-living thing. So you should have your hand like this. Here's our next one, Mr. Donkey. So Donkey, do you think he is living or non-living? He's an easy one. So notice that Donkey here is eating. He's actually eating an apple. He also loves to eat grass and hay. I gave you a hint. So hopefully you guys said Donkey is a living thing. So let's look at the soil or dirt. Do you guys think that is living or non-living? Show me with your hands. And hopefully you guys said soil is non-living. It is not alive. But I also see some living things in this video. Of course, we see the plants. Plants are living things. They grow and reproduce. They need food and water. Plants are alive. And we know that the living and the non-living things make up what's called an environment. Can you guys say that word? Environment. So look at all those birds. We have the clouds and the sun. We have a pond. So an environment consists of living things and non-living things. So just remember, examples of living things would be things like plants, trees, animals, and then non-living things that can be found outside in the outside environment are things like the sun, the water, the soil or the dirt, rocks, and the wind. Those are all examples of non-living things. So my challenge for you guys is to go outside with an adult and see if you guys can find some examples of living things and non-living things.